set up here. Can you see me? Here we go. And action.
I'm going down to the drugstore, buy a big old skeiny yarn. I'm gonna knit me a kitten, even if you don't give a darn.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the We Are Yarn podcast. My name's Amanda. I'm your hostess who's been a little absent lately, and I'm so sorry for that. Let me say right up front, I am looking down the barrel of a major life change. And schedules and things are going to be changing in the very near future, and the amount of income coming into my home is going to be just ever so slightly less. And so the hubs and I have been looking at ways that we might could cut back. And one of the things that I spend, not gobs of money on, but one of the things that I spend a little bit of money on every month is the podcast and hosting it so that it can go through the old channel, so like if you watch it online, if you watch it anywhere other than YouTube, that's where it's the hosting that does all that. I don't mind. The website itself is not the problem. It's the monthly fees for the hosting of the video. And I think that's one of the little luxuries that I'm going to have to cut. I will still upload to YouTube, and I'm going to talk to my webmaster, aka Mr. We Are Yarn, about Mr. Mandy Cat, that's what I call him, about maybe changing my website so that the YouTube videos are posted there, but I guess the only people that will be really truly affected are those who use catchers. I don't even know what they're called, like Downcast and that sort of thing, to actually download videos. I do recall one of my buddies telling me about a way that you can set up your Downcast or other apps like that to download video from YouTube. I'm going to go search through the forum archives and find that again and post that to the website. And I may even sticky it at the top of the We Are Yarn Ravelry group, just so everybody who goes that route will see that there's another way that they can subscribe to me. Okay, I don't think. Okay, let's be honest. I'm not like Amy Beth or any of those guys, the Knit Girls. I don't have thousands and thousands of people coming to check me out when I sit down and record. But, you guys that come and hang out with me, you're important to me. And if that's the way you're able to hang out with me, I don't want you to be left out. I don't want to lose you as part of my community. So we're going to try and see if it works. I haven't personally tested it because I've gotten now to where I watch most of my podcasts via YouTube. I don't really downcast much anymore. But with, life changes, I don't know, things, it could be different later. I may end up, but I'm going to test it regardless. Okay. I've talked way too long about that. I just want you to know in the near future there will be changes to how things are done at We Are Yarn. But only minor and shouldn't affect, I hope, not too many of you. Okay. This podcast is going to be called Knitting Gremlins because the gremlins have visited my home and messed everything up. Everything. Guys, it has been so frustrating since I talked to you last. I have had such a frustrating time with knitting. Since I talked to you last, Mother's Day happened, and I was in, I feel like I need to sneeze. I'm talking to you today with some pretty wet hair. I just got out of the shower because I'm off today. I went to the gym early. I was there at like 8:30, and I never go that early. So I've already gotten all that out of the way, and I came home and I showered because PU, and I got so excited thinking about things I wanted to talk to you about while I was in the shower. I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna dry my hair. I'm just gonna go. So this is post shower, Amanda. So I apologize for the not. I didn't even turn the light on in here, but I have lots of windows in here. I think the natural light should be good. I'm so scattered. Okay, so it's Mother's Day has happened since I saw you last, and I was realizing that this barrel of life change was coming, and having a lot of decision fatigue, and I did not have a lot of brain space. I didn't have it for cables for my sweater. So I cast on another sweater because I was like, if I'm not going to be working on one sweater for the knit along, I'm going to work on the other one for the knit along. And I just like grabbed it and I did it. My kid helped me wind the yarn. It's adorable. And then before I even cast on that, I was like, maybe I need to cast on a shawl. Maybe I'll cast on a shawl that's real simple. And I want to use some of my hand spun because I've been over inspired lately. That's another one of my problems. And Wendy of the Sassy Pants Knitter has not been helping because she's over inspired too, and she's over inspired, and that makes me over inspired, and then I find something new that I want to do, and now she's over inspired. We're a hot mess right now. And she was starting to knit with some hand spun, and I got excited about knitting with my hand spun, so then I wanted to cast on a shawl, and I wanted something easy, and I picked what looked like it would probably be easy, and guess what, guys, it is so not. And then let's talk about this one first because it can go real fast. You guys remember this lovely sweater that I knit, or top that I knit last summer? It is curling up to all heck in the back, and I was gonna buy just some undyed of this yarn from the dyer at SAF, and when I got to SAF last year they weren't there. Brooks Farm was not at SAF, and I am devastated. They better be there this year because I'd really like to knit like a white border around this. Just to make it a little bit longer. I think it needs to be a little longer, and to prevent that roll. But, and I still haven't woven my ends in, guys. That's how pitiful I am. But I pick it up, and I was like thinking about putting it on, and then I noticed this. Do you see that? That's the edge of my sweater, and the yarn is broken. And if it was in the back, I would just kind of fudge it. But guess where it is? It's on, like, look at it. Where is it? Right there. Right there in the front for the world to see. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to handle that. And I'm just so disappointed because that means I can't wear it this year. Right now. This is the perfect weather for it, and I can't. Gremlins, guys. Gremlins. They're even attacking my old foes. Okay, so let's talk about, you guys know there's a sweater knit along? Are you new? Hey, what's up? Thanks for coming. I hope you're not here with Downcast, and then I just delivered horrible news. Okay, I have a sweater knit along this year. It's all year, any sweater. The idea is that it covers your torso, most of your arms, you know, like 3/4 length sleeves are cool. Yeah, we need one, to use up our sweater quantities in our stashes, right? We need garments. I'm becoming a garment knitter. I have too many shawls that I don't wear. But anyway, so the idea is you knit 4 sweaters this year. I'm personally trying to divide them up into quarters so that every 3 months I've knit a sweater. And then at the end of that, in the year, I have 4 new sweaters. All right. So the sweater that I'm working on for this quarter is the Lemongrass by Joji Locatelli. Gosh, she's so fabulous. She speaks my language when it comes to sweater designs. And all of her designs, really. Let's just go ahead and say it. So this is how far I've gotten. I've done the yoke all around, and I've started going down. I'm using my lichens. I have the driftwoods, which, guys, just a reminder, these aren't actually made out of driftwood. I don't even know what kind of wood they're made out of. Birch, maybe, but they're just kind of stained to have a driftwood look. But they're so smooth and they feel so good in my hands. I'm definitely a wooden needle knitter. And I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why I'm not a big sock knitter anymore, because I really don't like the feel of metal needles. Wood is the way I go. But I digress. So I've knit the yoke. I've knit down here. Let me tell you, this would be, no joke, like that much longer if I had decided that maybe to kind of beat the ennui, I've got okay, another thing I'm a lace knitter. If I have to choose between cables and lace, I will choose lace every time. But I love the look of cables. And so I was thinking maybe part of my problem and why I'm feeling a little bit of ennui in my knitting is that my major project, really my only project at that moment, was this sweater. And I'm on the cabled front. I thought, okay, I could cast on the back and work on the back because it's just stockinette. It's like, no, then you'll be like futzing with having 2 different strands of yarn and it'd just be obnoxious. So, not going to do that. What we're going to do is, the way it goes in my household currently is the wee one, Mini Mandy Cat. He wakes up at like 6:30, usually. Since I work second shifts primarily, and my husband doesn't get but maybe a couple hours after work to spend with him, he gets up and does the morning gig until 7:30, and when he needs to start getting ready for work. And then I get up and I go in and we do breakfast and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do, instead of laying in bed with my eyes closed till 7:20, before I have to put my contacts in and get out of the bed, I'm going to, I'll sit up, put my contacts in and sit in the bed and maybe have my iPad, watch a little bit of a podcast, and knit for 10 or 15 minutes on this. And 10 or 15 minutes every day, that's like over an hour. 15 times, what, 7 is a lot. That's almost 2 hours. That would add up to 2 hours of knitting on my sweater. And then, lo and behold, the cable will be done and it'll be Bob's your uncle. So, I started doing that. Well, I sat down to watch a movie because my current job has some shakeups, and I've been working a few more day shifts, and so I came home after a day shift, and the hubs and I sat down and watched Hitman's Bodyguard. Guys, Ryan Reynolds, and what's his face? Samuel L. Jackson, I think. So funny. So funny. Absolutely not for littles. But, oh my gosh, so funny. So funny. Love Ryan Reynolds. I love his brand of humor. So, I sit down and I knit several rows, probably 3 or 4 rows. And I'm also I'm a knitter that likes to do, I'll knit a row and then stop and admire my work. So I stopped and I was admiring my work, and I realized I had completely miscrossed a cable. And I don't know, let's see. I took a picture with this. Let me pull it up. And some of my buds couldn't quite see it, but I will hold it here and see if you can notice the miscross there. And I mean, the braid was just all thrown off. It was still a braid, it was just going the completely opposite direction. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix it right now. So I was like, okay, I can either just take that panel off the needles and drop it back and do kind of the surgery knitting back up, or I could just rip it out. And I looked at it and I looked at it and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I do not have the mental, I don't have it in me to do surgery. So I just ripped it back to the error, and by the end of the movie I had gotten caught back up. But guys, I'd be so much further, I'd be almost done with the front. At the rate I'm going right now, I don't see me finishing this in this quarter, which is kind of one of the reasons I cast on this other project. But honestly, guys, it was 100% me. While I had been knitting on this, and when the ennui struck, I was trying to figure out if it was because of the yarn. Definitely not the needles. I love these needles. If it was the pattern, and I don't think it's any of that. I think it's me and where I am in my life at the moment. And that's okay. But I think after I got back on track, after fixing that miscross, I have decided that maybe cables at 7 in the morning is not a good idea. Okay, so on Mother's Day, I wanted to enjoy my knitting. I wanted to enjoy my time. Mr. Mandy Cat and Minnie We Are Yarn went out to Lowe's, and I had decided to start this project, so I had the little one help me wind it up. And I went out here and I sat on the porch. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram. I post pictures of cake. I scroll Instagram like it's crack, but I can't stop. But I don't post many pictures there. But I did post that day that I was sitting there with some coffee. I'd painted my toenails, and I'd cast on a new project, and it was feeling really good, and it did. And I cast on, it's called The Sandshore. It's by a person whose name I don't remember, but this is what it looks like. So it's knit out of linen. This one is. It's knit out of linen. It has that kind of offset panel, mesh lace panel on the back. It's going to have that mesh lace kind of going around the high hip there. 3/4 length sleeves. The front is just open with a ribbing collar kind of thing going down, you know. It has a word. Again, with my mental capacity right now, I don't have it. I am using, instead of linen, this lovely yarn. White. What, Amanda? You're knitting with white yarn? Yes, because guess what I want? A summer sweater to wear with everything. And in the summer, I like to wear white sweaters with my everythings. where's my tag? Oh, well, poop. Okay, we're going to pull it out of the middle of this one. So this is, I got this out of a grab bag when my clearance style grab bag at my local yarn store. Juniper Moon Neve. She even, I told her I wanted a neutral, and she peeked in all the bags and found this one. It said, this is as neutral as you can get. I said, well, that's perfect. And it is. So it is this really interesting construction, and I've tried to study it and figure it out, and I just can't. And I think we would call it, it's almost like an I-cord. I think it's cabled. Do they call this? I don't know. But it's a really interesting construction. It's 100% cotton. And it is magic, guys. It is beautiful. Every time I pull it out to knit on it, Paul goes, golly, that is so pretty. Like, you never comment on my knitting. But here it is. This is how far I've gotten. And I got most of the yoke done on Mother's Day. And there is an option. She gives you instructions for if you don't want that panel offset. But, you know, I thought it was kind of neat. Sorry, the phone rang and it threw me off. So I've gotten to where I divided, where I put the sleeves on holders for to work the body. And I was sitting down. I noticed that I had not updated Ravelry when I started the project with what needle size I was using. So I pull it out. I mean, gangbusters, guys. This is not, I say I finished this that much on Mother's Day. I didn't knit that long. It flew. But guys, I pull my needles out to look at them to write the size down, and this is what I see. I'm using my Cubics interchangeables. Uh-oh. I'm trying to hold them up. You know what's coming though, don't you? One of them is a 10, and one of them is a 10.5 US. I have knit this much of this sweater on 2 different size needles. That's what I get for casting on in a tizzy. Alright, so, you know, in talking with my knitting friends, the first question is, okay, do you like the fabric? Yes, I think the fabric's very nice. And I'm going to be completely honest. I can see, looking at it in the camera, I see a few spots where the gauge looks kind of off. But overall, it's not like, I don't see a huge problem with, you know, the, what's the word I'm looking for? You guys know, it's when it's the consistency. I don't see a big problem with the consistency of my gauge, even using these 2 needle sizes. I think now that I've slept on it for several days and I'm sitting here talking about it now, I think I am, for the rest of the sweater, going to use 10.5s. Because I'm pretty certain that's actually what the pattern calls for. Hold that thought. Ravelry Sandshore. Okay, it's by Alicia Plummer. Sandshore is one word. Yeah, she calls for 10.5s. So I think I will just go up to 10.5 from here on. I tried it on, but I had my scrubs on. And you know, they're not the nicest fitting. But the picture my husband took of it, it looks kind of tight. Alright, so I am about a 38-inch bust. And it's written 39 is the closest to my size and 43 is the next one up. I decided to go with that 39 because talking to another knitting friend who's knit some of these open front cardigans, and she said a lot of times she has trouble with them staying on her shoulders. So, you know, the bigger it is, the harder of a problem I'm going to have keeping it on my shoulders. So I knit the size closest to my bust so that maybe it would stay snug and not just go flying everywhere. But it still looked a little tight. And I'm kind of on the fence about what I want to do. Gremlins. So let me pack all this back up. My sweater, my big sweater, as usual, is living in my Whimsy Stitches bag. And because I love I like being able to see what's in the bag through the bag, I have a chicken boots bag that is clear. So that's what I'm keeping. And it's a good size for this smaller sweater project for me. Finally, in my Twist Fiber Studio new bag that I got at the Smoky Mountain Fiber Arts Festival. So that shawl that I decided to cast on, and forgive me, I was running out of ink, is the Dotted Rays by Stephen West. Now this is one of those patterns that I honestly, when I saw it originally, I blew it off. But I'm going to be honest, all of Stephen West's patterns these days, I do that. When I originally see it, his photography, while very artistic, I do not feel sells me the pattern at all. Doesn't sell it to me one bit. I have to see someone else knitting who has knit it and their finished object, and usually that's when the light goes on for me that this is really an amazing pattern. Why does Stephen West not try to photograph it so I can see what's going on? I think the first time I saw the Dotted Rays, I don't remember the way it was photographed. Didn't really do it for me. This is a little bit better, but it's still, you know, it's this solid. And when I saw it knit and hand spun is when I really realized the brilliance of it. But so it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be out of my hand spun because, again, I'm a sheeple and Wendy was knitting with hand spun and I was inspired. So what I pulled out is this loop bullseye bump. And this is the Kaleidoscope Eyes colorway. It's Merino Nylon Angelina. So this actually doesn't have a whole lot in it. As far as, it was over 5 ounces, greater than or equal to 5 ounces. But there's the Kaleidoscope Eyes. I think it's beautiful. I'm really excited about it. Okay, the first error I made, I'm also knitting it on Likey's. The first error I made was starting with the black at night. Hello. It has a knit as you go I-cord edge, which I'm really enjoying. And I'm enjoying the sparkle, but again, it's black. And this is as far as I've been able to get, because while it looks super fun and not really difficult, for my mental capacity at this point in my life, it has been a challenge. So I've worked on it 2 nights, 2 knitting sessions. The first time I was watching my husband play a video game and it was dark, and that was a bad plan, and I only got like the start and maybe 1 little repeat done. And then last night I have decided to rewatch True Blood. Oh, the cheese. It's so cheesy. And it is, I am only like 2 episodes in, so they're still warming up to their characters. I'm going to give them a minute. But God, it's still so good. And I got off track on the short rows. I gave Anna and Steven a pass because it's just so good. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Okay, so here we are. I think sooner rather than later I'm going to go back and close up this little bit here where the cast on is, so that that's nice and clean, and my end is already in. But it's not a horrible knit. It's not fun. It's just the Gremlins and my mental capacity right now. I almost, like, looking at it last night, I almost had to just rip it out and start over. I'm glad I didn't, though. But that's what's been going on with me. Here at Casa de Way. And I guess that's really all I have to talk about. The Gremlins. Maybe the next time I sit down to chat with you, the Gremlins will have done their business and moved on. I was seriously considering casting something else on last night. And I jokingly said just to give the Gremlins more to do. Because I really, though, I'm feeling like with these 3 projects, and these are my 3 main projects, I really feel like I need some just stockinette in the round or a garter stitch with an occasional increase on it, as opposed to something where I have to think like I do with these. And if the inspiration strikes today and I find that pattern that I think will be perfect, that meets those needs, I may just go ahead and cast it on, put the dotted rays and the white sweater aside and just have that shawl and then my cable, my lemongrass, and then maybe all of my knitting needs will be met and the ennui will 100% go away, and I don't know, we'll see. Alright guys, thank you for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me any way you like. All of my contact information will be on a splash screen at the end of the video. And I'm glad you came around to listen to me go on about my Gremlins. We all have them, right? We all have, I want to say we all have those days, but for me it's been several weeks. And that's okay. That's okay. Take care. I'll see you next time. Knit like the wind on those sweaters, because my sweaters are not doing real well, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.
I just can't wait to finish. I got the kitten knitting blues. No, I just can't wait to finish. That's why I got those kitten knitting blues.